Like Photoshop and Illustrator, InDesign has a swatches palette, and it is very basic. It's normally just like these 6 or 8 colors. Now, in a design studio, you would pay to have the Pantone color palette of the season that you were working on. And as we've been faking that out in our swatches and color books, you can also do that in InDesign. And the way to do that is head up to the right-hand corner of your swatches, click on that little icon, and say New Color Swatch. Now, this is the default, but if you go to this pull-down menu, you can get to CMYK uncoded that way. Now, the problem is you have to select individual colors. So what you can do is find colors you want, right? Add it over here. Or if you know, I'll add that one in. See, it adds it at the bottom here. If you know there's a whole range that you want, what you can do is actually a little more colorful. There we go. You can select the top color, hold Shift, and move down and select a whole range. Add that over there. Okay, so there is a way to get around that if you know there's color ranges that you're going to want to work with. So again, hold Shift, scroll down, click in again, add, and that will show up over here. So you end up with a really nice, much larger swatch. Okay, done. Swatch menu over here. So in terms of putting in shapes, this is pretty much identical to Illustrator and Photoshop. You've got your rectangle tool, which is what they call the shape tool. And I'm going to do a background for this whole page here, like that. And you can go in your swatches and change the color as you see fit. You can also Control-0 always returns your page to the full screen. You can also go in, create some new shapes. Recolor them the exact same way you do in Illustrator. Oops. Like that. Maybe I'll change my background to something more dramatic like that. Okay, so you've probably noticed that there's always these weird blue bounding boxes. Okay, so one thing before I can next one, see I haven't taken that right to the edge. I'm going to pull that over so it does fully cover my page. Now I am working in the document at this point. I have my master pages, but I'm actually in the document here working. If I was in the master page, this would be happening to every single page in the document, but you see that it is not, right? So you can also, if you get a layout you really like, you can select this and pull it into your master page. Or you can Control-C and then click into master, Control-V or Control-F, and it will go, and you can then have that repeated through the entire document. Okay, so you've got these blue outlines, and if you want to see what the actual document is going to look like, you can always head up to View. Is it Window or View? Screen mode. So if you change that to Preview, that will show you what it's actually going to look like. So I can see that I have a stroke on here that I don't want. If you want to get rid of your stroke and fill, InDesign has them up here, which is pretty handy. So I can take this right to the top where it has none. So I'm turning off the fill for these because I would rather they not have a border on them. Okay, again, I see I'm not right to the edge with this one. I'm going to, again, go back with my black arrow, take that right to the edge of my page. There we go. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go back to my view screen mode, normal, which is the bounding boxes and the paper. This is called the bleed, this area between here and here. It's a printing term. Okay, so I've got these shapes, and again, like Illustrator and Photoshop, this is a program that works well with vectors, so you can draw shapes quite easily, the same way you do in Illustrator. It's exactly the same process. You can also cut and paste Illustrator shapes into your InDesign document. Okay, so I'm going to give that a different color. Oops, make sure you are on your fill and not your stroke. There we go. Hello, I want to be up here on my, there we go, up here on my fill, and I will turn off my stroke. There we go. Okay, so placing photos into InDesign. Pretty easy. You select your shape. Let's start with this one. And I'm going to do File, Place. And it's going to have your folder where you have all of your photos saved. Remember, you want to keep everything in the same place so that InDesign will be able to find it the next time. Okay, so you'll notice that my shape does not fit my bounding box at this point. There's a couple ways to handle that. You can either actually adjust the size of the bounding box, which is really easy for cropping. InDesign is great for that because you can crop your edges very easily just by clicking the sides of the box. You can also do this little series of commands called fitting, and you can fit the frame proportionately, fit content proportionally. Be careful of fit frame content and content to frame because it will end up squishing the image, which you do not want. So I'm going to, at this point, fit the frame proportionally. Actually, I'll fit the content proportionally so you see what's going to happen. There we go. So you can see how I've got an edge of my bounding box where, because my photo image is the frame, that color in the background is the background color, which is that one. So you can there we go. I'm going to change my background color. You can have a photo within a frame, and you can change the color of the background. The other thing you can do, right-click, fitting, you can fit frame to content. So what that'll do is it will make my frame exactly fit to the content. We like that, okay? Now, what you don't want is to do it the other way so it'll squeeze like my image to try to fit into a different kind of frame shape. Now here, one thing you can do with InDesign, File, Place, once you've got your shape selected, and so for this one, I'm going to fit content proportionately. So that's going to have my little Queen of France here. You can see a bit of the bounding box in the background. Okay, so moving these photos around. If you just black arrow and click on the photo, it moves everything. If you click on this little donut here, that moves your shape around in your frame. And I'm hitting Shift, and I'm grabbing the side of that photo image, and I'm fitting it into my frame nicely. Hit Enter. There we go. Okay, so that, again, if you want to move everything, just click on the shape, move it around. Oops. If you want to move the photo inside your shape, click on the little donut, move it around inside. You can also grab a corner, hold Shift, and make it larger. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to do it with my photo. Click on the donut, there we go. See that second bounding box? Hold Shift, and it will allow me to make the photo larger so it fits the frame nicely, and move it around that way. Okay, so click away to deselect. Now Control C, Control V works the same here as well. And so you can do cool things like maybe rotate your shape with the image in it. So in some ways, InDesign has more flexibility than Photoshop does, because you do this through your document. And again, if I Control C this and head up to my master pages and put this onto my master, and I can pull that into, anywhere I pull that into my document, it will be an A master page, right? Control Z, there we go. Okay, now I want to get out. So be careful when you're working here, because everything you do is going to end up in your document. You can see within the lower part of the frame, master pages, document pages. I scroll down here, I've got different things happening on different pages. This is the one we just worked on. This was same idea. As always, if you hit the space bar, you get that little hand and you can quickly move things around. Okay, so click on the shape, File, Place, grab your image, open, and that's looking huge. So I'm going to right click, fit content proportionately. There we go. Okay. And that is shapes and photos in Illustrator.